Since I moved into this house, I've had my computer desk in the living room, because that's currently the only living space where I have wired access to the internet. I picked a house with an extra bedroom specifically to turn it into a home office, though it's been a slow-going project to say the least. Been living here for 2 years and the office is still a construction site. So for the time being, living room it is. Even with the vaccines coming, I'm going to be working from home for the foreseeable future, so I really need to make some progress on the home office project. The main blocker has been running network cables upstairs because I was a bit apprehensive about drilling holes in the ceiling. But after having done my research, I feel ready to tackle this. I decided to install galvanized steel trunking for the backbone of the run so that it would be easier to run more cables if necessary. Finding the right size of trunking can be tricky. First, you need to know how many cables you want to run. To keep it simple, I have 18 slots left on the patch panel, so I'll round up and plan for 20 cables, even though I'm only going to run 8 to begin with. Next, you need to know how big your cables are. Calipers are best for this job. A ruler or a tape measure will do, but you're more likely to overestimate cable thickness with those. Ask me how I know. Cable thickness isn't always consistent, so make sure to measure at several points to find the worst case scenario. Armed with those numbers, there's a handy calculator on the engineeringtoolbox.com which lets you find how many circles you can fit in a rectangle. You first need to enter the size of the rectangle. The dimensions for the type of trunking I'm using start at 50 by 50 millimeters. Next, you enter the cable diameter. You might want to round up to the nearest millimeter. The last number you need to punch in is the spacing between the cables. I'm not entirely sure what's a good way to measure this, but the idea is that you want enough room to run new cables without the old ones being in the way. I made a very conservative guess at around half the cable thickness. Hit calculate and see how many cables fit. You then go up in rectangle size until you reach the number of cables you need. Where I went wrong is that I thought my cable was 3 mm thicker than it really was. This, combined with the excessively generous spacing and the fear of running out of space, I ended up going for a 100 by 100 mm trunking, where a 100 by 50 would have been certainly more than enough. So if you're asking yourself why is that trunking so oversized, that's the reason why. The first order of business is to drill out of the closet in which the network cabinet is located. The plan is to have a section of trunking at the back of the closet in which I'll mount a patch panel so that I can have a clean permanent setup while still being able to move the network cabinet. This is going to run just below the shelf in the closet. I'm double checking with the pipe/live wire detector that there is nothing in the way. I'm taking one of the fittings to trace the square I'll have to cut out from the wall. I'm not after a super snug fit, since I'm planning on filling the gaps with plaster, so the lines are more of a guide than a hard limit. Last time I drilled through masonry, the whole room got covered in brick dust. Don't really want that happening in the kitchen, so I'll be attempting to vacuum as I drill. For the occasion, I got a wet and dry vacuum cleaner. You may have heard it called a shop vac, but that's a brand. I'm lining up the drum with a rubble bag, making a hole for the inlet, before putting the lid back on. I highly recommend getting a vacuum cleaner with a power takeoff socket. Basically, you plug your power tool into the vacuum cleaner, and whenever your power tool turns on, the vacuum cleaner will turn on at the same time, which means one less thing to worry about. However, I only have 2 hands, so I'll duct tape the vacuum hose to the wall. Since I'll be drilling in an enclosed space, I'll be wearing PPE for my own sake. Make sure the mask fits correctly and makes a good seal with your face, or your glasses will steam up for sure. The drill was nearly as long as the space was wide, so the first few centimeters were a bit challenging. I start with the hammer function turned off on the drill until I'm through the plaster, then turn it back on to attack the brick. Coming through to the other side, I had some tear out, probably predictable in hindsight. As I said, I don't mind it that much since this will be dealt with when the kitchen gets remodeled. My plan for minimizing the tear out was to score the brick with the chisel so that it breaks only where I want it to. As you'll see, this didn't really work. If I had to do it again, I'd probably drill from both sides, starting with a pilot hole. Anyway, back to drilling. After drilling the 4 corners, I took the hand chisel and removed the plaster before starting to dig into the brick. I'm only doing this to give the hammer drill a guide and not have it go all over the place. Once that's done, I swapped to the power tool again and started cutting out the rest of the hole. This time, I'll attack the problem from both sides, going about halfway from the inside and finishing from the outside. Note that the brick dust is going to clog up the vacuum cleaner's filter pretty quickly, so you might need to change or wash it frequently. After test fitting the fitting, the opening needed some more chisel attention. This might sound obvious, but make sure you're holding the chisel at a steep enough angle, otherwise it's just going to skid off the surface, especially with the hammer drill. For light touches, it felt better to switch back to the hand chisel, but sometimes I just lose patience. As this 90-degree bend is gusseted, I need to chisel out a bit on the right-hand side of the opening. After multiple rounds of test fitting and chiseling from both sides, I finally got this to fit, and it was level too. After that, it was time to take measurements for cutting the length of trunking. I slid the trunking in, then went back around the other side of the wall to attach the width reducer and the 50mm bend. This is temporary, so I didn't really need to completely tighten the fitting, but I wanted to make sure it wouldn't go wonky on me. Once they were securely attached, I pushed the conduit until it touched the opposite wall, made sure it was level, and marked where it went into the wall. I did the same thing on the other side, and now all that's left is to take this outside for cutting, but I needed to wait another day because it was raining, so it's a good place to end this video here and continue next time.